In this video, we will learn the life cycle of FlexB states. That is, what is happening within each state of the state machine when we execute a behavior. We need to understand it so that we can program our own state implementations, because they will follow the same life cycle. When we press execute behavior, we see that the behavior engine executes the different states according to the transitions defined in the state machine. However, how is this state execution implemented? How does a state receive the values for its input keys? When are the state parameters read? Well, in FlexB, all states work following the same internal structure, and this is defined by the state lifecycle. The FlexB state lifecycle is a sequential execution of a number of functions in the state implementation. These functions and events are defined by the event state Python class, from which all FlexB states inherit. FlexB states are then implemented in Python. These functions are associated to events at the state machine level that are triggered by the FlexB behavior engine. This means that we do not have to worry about it. The FlexB engine will trigger those functions for us. But since we will implement these functions to create our own state, we need to understand when and what for are they triggered. Let's see when the different lifecycle functions are called during the execution of a behavior. When the FlexB behavior engine executes a behavior, the first thing that happens is that the behavior state machine is instantiated as a running program in the system. That means the constructors of all the states are called. This is the init function in each state. Then, the behavior actually starts by triggering the onStart function for all the states. This function is only called once during the execution of the state machine. Therefore, onStart is a good place to initialize resources used by the states. Once the onStart routines of all the states finish, the first state in the behavior becomes active. Let's suppose state A is the first state. When the state machine transitions to a state and it becomes active, its onEnter event is called. This event is called every time the state becomes active. This is the most used event when implementing a state. It is used, for example, to make the action request that the state encapsulates, and to reset any internal variables that might have changed during previous executions of this state. Okay, after onEnter, the execute method is called periodically while the state is active. Its main purpose is to check state conditions and trigger a corresponding outcome if the condition is met. While no outcome is returned, the state remains active and the execute method continues executing. When an outcome is returned, the behavior transitions to the next state, and the onExit method of the state is triggered. This event can be used to stop processes that were triggered in the onStart event, for example. The behavior execution proceeds by following the previous sequence for each state that becomes active, till the last state returns an outcome or the behavior is stopped. When the behavior stops, the onStop method of all the states is called. You should use this method to clean up all resources claimed by your state during execution. Now, we know the functions we need to implement simple states in FlexB for our robot applications. In the FlexB event class, the FlexB event class includes another two methods to enable pause and resume states. They are used for more complex parallel execution flows that are possible in FlexB, but they are out of the scope of this course. You can check the FlexB documentation for how to use them. All right, in this video, we have learned the different functions in the lifecycle of a FlexB state. Now, we are ready to start coding them for our own state implementation. So stay tuned for the next video.